Why does silence between two people who once shared everything feel heavier than any fight ever did? You have been told that no contact means no interest, that silence equals moving on, that two people who stop talking have nothing left to say. But that is a lie, a comfortable lie, a lie that keeps you from facing a much stranger truth. Sometimes the deepest connection sits inside the quietest space. Sometimes two people stop contacting each other not because the love died, but because the love grew too loud for either of them to handle. Think about it. Fighting means feeling. Arguing means caring. Even an angry text means you are still in each other's minds. But complete silence? That is different. That is a shared room where both people stand on opposite sides, holding the same breath, waiting for the other to speak first. And neither moves. Not because they do not want to. Because moving first feels like losing something they cannot name. You are here because silence has confused you. Maybe you stopped reaching out to see if they would. Maybe they stopped first, and now weeks have passed, and you do not know what that means. Let me give you a reason to stay until the end. In this video, you will learn the 6 hidden psychological meanings behind silence between a man and a woman. You will learn which silence means healing, which silence means war, and which silence means love so scared it hid inside a cave. Most people never learn the difference. They break their own hearts, assuming the worst. You will not. So let us walk into the silence together. The first thing you must understand is that human beings are not designed for prolonged silence with someone they genuinely connected to. Our brains release bonding chemicals during contact: oxytocin, dopamine, the same chemicals that make you feel safe and rewarded. When that contact stops, your brain enters withdrawal. This is not weakness, this is biology. And biology does not care about pride or logic. But here is what most people miss. Withdrawal feels different depending on who stopped first. If you stopped contacting them, your brain will crave them for about 2 to 3 weeks. Then the craving shifts into curiosity. Then curiosity shifts into acceptance. That is the standard path. However, if they stopped contacting you, your brain does something else. It creates a phantom narrative. You fill their silence with stories. They hate you. They never cared. They found someone better. Those stories are almost always false, but your brain prefers a painful story over no story at all. That is why silence tortures you. Not because they are doing something cruel, because your own mind is writing horror scripts without a single fact. Let me give you the first psychological meaning of silence between a man and a woman. Sometimes silence is not distance. Sometimes silence is a test. Not a game, a test. A person who has been hurt before will stop contacting you just to see if you will come after them. They are not being manipulative on purpose. They are being scared on purpose. Their past taught them that if someone really cares, that someone will not let the silence win. So they wait and they watch. And every day you stay quiet, their fear grows louder. See, they did not come. I was right to be scared. But here is the tragedy. You are also waiting. You are also testing. You are also thinking, if they really cared, they would break the silence first. So two people stand frozen, both loving each other, both terrified, both waiting for the other to prove something that neither knows how to ask for. That is not a relationship ending. That is a relationship stuck inside a staring contest. And staring contests only end when one person blinks. The question is not who blinks. The question is what you lose while refusing to. Now let me give you a second meaning. Sometimes silence is the only language left for someone who exhausted every other word. You argued, you explained, you cried, you begged, you tried logic, you tried patience. Nothing worked. So you stopped, and they stopped. And now the silence sits between you like a third person in the room. This silence is not empty. This silence is exhaustion wearing a mask of peace. When two people have said everything they can say, silence becomes a truce. Not a goodbye, a truce. Both sides lay down their weapons because fighting hurt more than the original wound. In this kind of silence, there is still love. There is just no more energy to prove it. And that is different from not caring. That is caring until your bones ache and then caring silently because your voice gave out. Here is what psychology says about exhausted silence. It often breaks after a period of rest. Not after a dramatic gesture, after rest. When both people sleep properly, When both people stop replaying every argument. When the nervous system calms down, that calm creates space for a simple message. Not an apology, not a confession, just a small bridge. Thinking of you. Saw this and thought of us. That tiny bridge can carry everything if both people are tired of fighting. But most people never build the bridge. They wait for a grand apology, and grand apologies almost never come from exhausted hearts. Let me give you a third meaning. Sometimes silence means protection. This one is hard to hear. A man or a woman will go silent not because they do not care, but because they care too much to keep hurting you with their inconsistency. They know they cannot give you what you need right now. They know their moods are unpredictable. They know they will say the wrong thing, so they choose silence instead of damage. That is not cowardice. That is a broken person trying not to break you too. You see this often with people who are depressed, avoidant, or emotionally overwhelmed. They disappear because disappearing feels kinder than snapping at you. They do not realize that disappearing hurts differently, but their intention is not cruelty. Their intention is harm reduction. They are just bad at calculating which harms more. If this is the silence you are in, here is what you need to know. Their silence has nothing to do with your worth. Nothing. You could be the most wonderful person on earth, and they would still go quiet because the noise inside their own head is louder than anything you could ever say. You are not the problem. You are just the nearest target for their silence. Now let me give you the fourth meaning. This one will challenge everything you think you know. Sometimes, silence means love is finally safe enough to rest. Think about new love. New love is loud. Constant texts, constant calls, constant proving. But old love? Deep love? Mature love? That love does not need constant noise. That love can sit in silence for days and still feel full. A man and a woman who do not contact each other for a week, but smile when they finally do. That is not distance. That is security. That is two people who stopped performing love and started living it. They do not need to check in every hour because they are not afraid of losing each other. Their silence is not emptiness. Their silence is trust wearing a quiet coat. This is the hardest silence to recognize because your anxiety will scream that something is wrong. But look closer. Is anything actually wrong? Or are you just addicted to the noise of early romance? Many people confuse drama with depth. They think constant contact means constant caring. But real caring does not need to prove itself every morning. Real caring sleeps peacefully through silence and wakes up still caring. So before you panic about the silence, ask yourself one question. Has anything changed besides the frequency of contact? Are they still kind when you do speak? Do they still show up when it matters? Do they still remember the small things? If yes, then the silence is not a problem. Your fear of silence is the problem. Let me give you the fifth meaning. Sometimes silence is grief. Not grief over the relationship ending. Grief over something else. A loss. A failure. A disappointment that has nothing to do with you. When a person grieves, they pull inward. They stop reaching out to everyone, not just you. Their silence feels personal, but it is not. It is a cave they enter to process pain alone. Grieving silence is dangerous to interpret because you will assume you caused it. You will replay your last conversation. You will search for a mistake. You will find one even if it does not exist. That is your guilt speaking, not the truth. The truth is that some silences are not about you at all. They are happening near you, not because of you. If you want to survive this kind of silence, you must learn one skill. Distinguish between silence that excludes you and silence that simply does not include you yet. Excluding silence says, I do not want you near me. Not including yet silence says, I cannot reach out right now, but my door is still open. The difference is everything. Finally, let me give you the sixth meaning. This one is the hardest to accept. Sometimes silence means the story really did end. No hidden love, no unspoken words, no fear, no grief, just a natural ending. Two people walked different directions and the phone did not ring, and no one called, and the silence grew because neither had anything left to say. That is not tragedy. That is life. But here is what makes this silence different from the others. In this silence, there is no tension, no anxiety, no hope hiding in the corner. Just flat, neutral quiet. like a room you used to live in but no longer remember the color of the walls. If you feel nothing when you think of contacting them, not anger, not sadness, not hope, just nothing, then the silence is complete. And complete silence is not a wound. It is a closed door. Now here is your reward for staying this far. The 6 meanings we just explored live on a spectrum. The same silence can mean testing on Monday, exhaustion on Tuesday, and security on Wednesday, depending on the people involved. So how do you know which meaning belongs to your silence? You look at the pattern before the silence began. A loving person who goes quiet is still a loving person. A cold person who goes quiet was never warm. The silence does not change who they were. It only reveals what they were hiding. You do not need to guess anymore. You just need to remember who they were when they spoke. That person is still there. Silence did not erase them. Silence only made them harder to see. In the next section, we will talk about exactly what to do in each kind of silence. When to wait, when to reach out, when to walk away forever. But for now, breathe. Silence is not always an ending. Sometimes it is the space love needs to remember why it started. Stay here. The next section gives you the action map.